Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to take this opportunity to converse with you again and give you a little information about what's going on, how I've been affected here in the town of Littleton with regards to the select board picking the applicants for this charter committee review of the town of Littleton. They sent out the application to be filled out, and I applied, filled out the information, and they received a total of 15 applicants. And on February the 3rd, they held the meeting, the select board did, and they selected that committee. Mind you, all applicants was qualified. But somehow the select board selected an all-white charter committee. I was in attendance. I believe there was 12 of us there, and there was 3 applicants that could not make it. I watched the select board go through their process of selecting this committee. First of all, I want to say this. What I am saying to you is what has affected George A. Sanders Sr., not nobody else. I'm speaking for George A. Sanders Sr. and for George A. Sanders Sr. only. If any other member in the town of Littleton or citizen, if you have a beef with the select board, you deal with the beef with the select board and represent yourself. I am not here to represent anyone else other than George A. Sanders with the select board. If you got a grievance with them, you deal with it. If it happens to be coincidental that is something that I'm dealing with, that you're dealing with, so be it. But I will say to you, how they selected the applicants for that committee lacking a lot of caring about doing what is just, fair, and right. I asked myself, how could they have not wanted me to be on the committee? I was just as qualified as anybody else was. And we live in a town of Littleton that is a diversified town. There might not be a whole lot of blacks here. There's other nationalities or races that are living in this town as well. The problem I had was that I don't think the emphasis was put on that they wanted to appoint a diversified charter committee to get input from all races that live in this town of Littleton. And if they receive more than the 9 to 12 as to what they suggested that the board should be, how are they going to select the applicants? Nothing was said. Nothing was in the application about it. So I feel that Littleton did not do a very good job in advertising for this. And I filed a complaint on the 7th of February. And I pointed out to the select board and told them I didn't think he did a good job of selecting the people, that the select board was more concerned about a quorum being met and getting someone from the select board on the committee. I think that the 15 individuals that applied was well qualified. They said we all was qualified. And I think you had some very dedicated individuals that applied and looked at the criteria of saying how long they needed to serve on this board, which was 18 to 24 months, and whether they could give 2 days a month or whatever the case is to this committee. I think those people took a hard look and say, yes, I think I can do that for my town. Yeah, I'm willing to give that much of myself and give the town this opportunity to review his charter and see how maybe we can do things better in the town of Littleton. And those people stepped forth and submitted their application. So I said, an easy solution to rectify the situation was, I was willing to say, okay, I don't want you to take someone off of the committee to give me a seat at the table. But let's appoint all 15 individuals, which means with a board of 9, which they came up with, you needed 5 for a quorum. 15, you only need 8. So I gave them 7 days to do that. Said, and this will go away. I think this is an easy solution to fix the problem. Well, the first thing I know was that I got an email, or text rather, from the chair asked me for a coffee meeting. And I said, yeah, that I would. And I tried to work it in to my schedule, which was very tight at the time. So on the Tuesday, we met and we had a conversation for about 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'd say about an hour and 45 minutes. We talked about family. We talked about education. We talked about the town in general. Talked about our kids going to school and so forth and so on. That was a very nice conversation with the chairman. So I asked him at a point, why'd you invite me out for coffee? He said, I thought you wanted to talk. So I immediately went into the conversation about the selection of the charter committee. And he acknowledged that, things could have been done different. And I agree. Because if you looked at the LCTV of that meeting of February the 3rd, they made no mention of how they were going to select the people. All of a sudden, pieces of paper were being passed about. So they voted with a ballot. Question I had, was everybody considered? I don't know. It was done by a ballot. They selected 9 people. All 15 people qualified. So I asked him, I said, why wouldn't the town of Littleton wouldn't have wanted me on the committee? He had no answer for that. So here we have an all-white select board that select an all-white charter committee, and they saw fit not to put a minority on the committee. What was the reason? I was qualified. I think I've been a superb scholar in this town, helping this town time after time, over and above, working to do whatever I could to make Littleton better. Always advocating for Littleton, for funding and doing stuff. I understand the structure. I've been on committees and boards over 25 years in this town. I understand the criteria that they talked about, budget, management, so forth, economics. But yet instead, how they came up and selected the people that they did, I don't know. But the sad part about all this is that they missed the deadline that I gave them, which was the 14th of February, to respond to rectifying the situation by appointing the 15 applicants to the committee. So it told me that, well, they probably didn't care, because when I had coffee with the chairman, he told me to do what I have to do. That was before the deadline reached. So I did what I had to do. I filed a MCAD, Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination, with the state on the 17th of February. That is now pending at the state. And I told the state exactly what had transpired in my conversation with the chairman. And also made a suggestion to the state that they order the town of Littleton to dismantle this all-white charter committee and re-advertise with emphasis on wanting to have a diversified charter committee which consists of 6 white applicants, 2 minority applicants, and 1 disabled, physical disabled person that could be certified by the state or federal government agent for a 9-membership diversified charter committee. With those 3 categories, if they receive more applicants, then they're to put the name for each category into a container and draw out 6 white names. If they get more than 2 minorities, they put them in a container and draw out 2 minorities. If they get more than 1 physical disabled person, they put that in a container and draw out 1 physical disabled person. I think that's a fair and just process to do. As I said to the state, it was an easy fix. Just sign everybody to 15 up, and this would have went away. There wouldn't have been a letter going to the state. But I guess the select board think that they can discriminate at their discretion. No, I'm not going to let them get away with what they did, because I feel that it was wrong the way they did it. The way they selected the people, I think that was wrong. They did it by ballot. And on top of that, they did not want it to be done live, so they had to record it. You had to record it for what? This is the way you conduct business. And when I say this, believe me when I tell you this, I'm not mad at not one of those select persons. I'm not mad at them. People make mistakes. And there's one thing that we all have the right to do. We have the right to redeem ourselves. I gave them the opportunity to redeem themselves. And they chose not to. They gave me no recourse here but to go forth and file a complaint with the state. They just wasn't thinking. And they hadn't put a lot of thought into how they were going to select this charter committee in the first place. They was unprepared for it. And based upon that, they just arbitrarily started to write names on pieces of paper and passing it around and tallying it up. And then I guess one person or whatever, there was a 3-way tie, I think it was, with one person or whatever the case was. And they eventually eliminated that and got the 9th person and appointed the board, with one person coming from the select board, not including being 9, so that's 10 when you count the representative from the select board. If the select board truly wanted to get good feedback, why wouldn't you want to get good feedback from all of the diversified citizens in the town of Littleton? Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want to hear what they have to say about how the town is operating, how something could be done better? And where the select board is the body that this committee is going to be approving and sent to on that committee recommendation for the charter, to me, first and foremost, there shouldn't be nobody from the select board as a part of that committee. Because they're the one that's going to take and analyze everything that committee is going to send to them. So therefore, nobody should be on there. It should be the citizen of this town feeding the data back into them so they can sit down and digest and analyze. To me, that is the right way that it should be done. What do we need the select board member on the committee to do what? This is a committee that is seeking information from the citizens of this town. And therefore, that committee can convey that information to the select board. You don't need somebody from the select board there watching over the committee, in my opinion. Perhaps what do I know? I know one thing. They didn't do it right. And I wasn't about to stand by and let them do what they want to do and look over me as a citizen, first off, as a minority, and second, as a 100% disabled veteran, and as a resident of the great town of Littleton. I have a lot of pride and joy in this town and care about this town. And always willing to try to do whatever I can to make the town of Littleton a little bit better each and every day. Why wouldn't you want a citizen that cares about this community like that on a committee? Do I feel bad about it? No, I don't feel bad about it. I feel sad that when I gave them the opportunity to rectify the situation, they chose not to do it. That is very disturbing to me. Very disturbing to me. That they chose to do nothing. And by not responding, sends a message to me that business as usual, do as you please. They don't have to worry. And to me, that is not good. They can tweak it any way they want to tweak it. What they did, it was wrong. And I didn't like it, so I took action. And I would do it again. because they need to understand that they're the head of this government in the town of Littleton. And they set an example when they go off and they do something like this. And when it's brought to their attention, they do nothing about it. It's like at their discretion, they can do what they want to do. And that may be true to a point. But it doesn't mean that I have to say okay and do nothing. So I went to the state. And I'm telling the citizen of Littleton this because you need to know what kind of select board we have that we elected. Anytime you can undo something that was done wrong, you know what? You ought to right the wrong. I believe that. You ought to right the wrong. If I make a mistake and I say something wrong, I should apologize. We should always try to right the wrong. Do what's right. Not ignore what we did. Like I say, this complaint has no reflection whatsoever of all the citizens in this town except the 5 selectmen or select board members in the town of Littleton. They are the ones that did what they did. And they were the ones that could have corrected what they did. And they are the ones that chose not to. And to let it be elevated to the state level. That is nonsense of that select board. Why wouldn't you want to fix something in-house that you can fix and take care and go forth and do what needs to be done that is done right? Like I say, not mad at them. They made a mistake. If you can't own up to your mistake, you got a problem. And I just want to say to Littleton, you are a great community. And we're better than that. I know that because I talk and speak to people in this community that cares about this community. I had a gentleman that when I was out on the edge of the road in my driveway pushing some snow, he dropped down his snow blade and shot around and moved that snow and then turned around and came back and did it again, then came back down again and did that. That's the kind of people we got in Littleton. They care about people. Because when I have my plow on and I'm out somewhere and doing, I see somebody out there doing, I do the same thing. It doesn't hurt. It's not money. I don't charge nobody. I plow for a couple of people and I don't charge them because they're elder people. It's what within my heart, what I care about. I care about people. And this select board should care about all the people in this community. All of the people in this community, with emphasis. I don't want to take any more of your time. I want to thank you for listening to what I had to say. God bless you, and have a good evening. Thank you.